There are many questions about the Houthis. What is the story of the Houthis? What's their creed? What are they? What do they want for Yemen? Are they really fighting America, Israel, Britain and others? To understand the story of the Houthis, we understand the story of the Zaydis in Yemen. Yemen is witnessing the largest density of Zaydis in the world. The Zaydins are a sect of Tawaf Shiites that are very close to Tar and to Sunnis in general. This means that the closest Shiite doctrine to the Sunnis is the doctrine of the al-Zaydi. The Zaydi school belongs to Zayd bin Ali, the grandson of al-Hussein. May God be pleased with them all. The differences between them and the Sunnis are slight. In some matters, they stipulate that the Imam be from the people of Zayd bin Ali. Of course, this is a dispute between me and the Sunnis in this matter. They see the advantage of Ali bin Abi Talib Ali. The three Rashidun caliphs, Abu Bakr, Omar and Osman, are recognized by them, but not entirely. The opposite of the 12th year is the 12th year of Iran, Iraq and Lebanon. They insult the companions, but Devlet is not the opposite. They are not satisfied with them, but they see Aliyah as better than them, and therefore they see a right to him in the caliphate. But they do not deny the caliphate of the one who is cursed, who in their opinion is Abu Bakr, Omar and Uthman. But they do not say what the 12M says, such as A, who does not curse. The companions do not say the doctrine of innovations. Alternatives are the doctrine of return to the leadership of the dictate. The Imams do not say all this to me. There may be a group of their sects that are a little excessive on the subject, a little close to a 12 named Al-Jarudiyah. The dead sect revives the most extremist of them, but it means that it is not the most famous among the Zaydi sects. As we said, their largest concentration is in Yemen. They represent in Yemen about 35 to 40% of the total population of Yemen. The Zaydis in Yemen are concentrated in certain places which are the northern places, especially Saada. Saada Governorate is the main center for the Zaydis in Yemen and the northern region in general. In the year 86,986, Zaydiyon founded an organization or charitable body called the Union of Believers Youth, which was founded by a person named Badr al-Din al-Houthi, a family of those who are present in these areas in and around Saada. Their sect is Zaydiyah. They ruled Yemen for many years, many centuries. Long, the Zaydi rule of Yemen ended in the year 1962. Why the Yemeni revolution? They are all concentrated in this region. One of these famous Zaydi scholars at that time, Badr al-Din al-Houthi, worked for this group and was a charitable organization that called for religious matters and social matters. Salafist thought also spread at this time, and it was parallel to the excessive thought that is trying to spread. Even in some people who say that this kind of thought and its spread and the attempt, meaning the establishment of associations and charitable bodies that call for the doctrine of Zaziyah, was a reaction to the spread of Salafist thought and thought. Salafist schism spread in these areas with the support of that is, Saudi Arabia, with the original support of the Yemeni government at that time to resist the Zaydis. We had a kind of meaning. The relative struggle between the existing government and the Zaydis, their areas, unfortunately meant that they were marginalized. The service, the infrastructure there was weak, and the services, there were whatever they wanted at a high level. The state of poverty was greater, and therefore it was in a kind of boredom, or the rejection of the government exists in these areas, and this is what he exploited after that. The Zaydis sought separation from the Yemeni government. In the year 90, North Yemen united with South Yemen. They worked a union. All of Yemen remained one part, and at that time, party pluralism appeared. And the Zaydis exploited this party pluralism to establish a party they called the Party of Truth, which is considered the political wing of the party. Why does this organization have a natural relationship with the Believed Youth Union, which is the body they created from? This happened several years ago. This work is about the subject that is Badr al-Din al-Houthi, and the subject is politically led by his son, Hussein Badr al-Din al-Houthi. I had clear political inclinations, and my work meant participation in the party or political system at that time. I ran for the party for the Yemeni parliament, and I succeeded in running from 93 to 97. I was a representative of this party. Badr al-Din al-Houthi disagreed with the Zaydis in the fatwa. The Zaydi scholars said that it is permissible for the Imam to be a non-people for Zayd bin Ali due to the circumstances in which the world has changed. The family is no longer concerned with the required size and in the mechanisms of elections, democracy, and parliament. And the words of this, we will not imply that he will be the governor, ruler, or imam. From a descendant like Ibn Ali, they excluded this condition. He refused, he said no, he had to be. Who? From the descendants of the Zayd bin Ali family, and therefore the Yemeni government is not useful in his opinion. I mean, the Yemeni government is not from the descendants of the Zayd family, there is not from the Zayd family. The origin of AF is not useful, and therefore any disagreement occurred between them. It is instead of the Houthi religion from the Jarudi sect. What we said is that it is closer to the 12. He began to reject them and create a kind of conflict with them. This is the Yemeni government, and I knew that it is angry that the ruler remains necessary. The people who Zayd bin Ali is not the ruler. The important thing is that it is not useful, therefore a kind of clash occurred, and he began to worry about himself. Badr al-Din al-Houthi. Iran summoned Badr al-Din al-Houthi for this and gave him space. He lived with them in Iran for several years. He was afraid that he would return to Yemen as a result of the events that he escalated in the fatwa that he was opposed to. He lived in Iran for several years, meaning in Tehran. After that, some Zaydi scholars mediated with the ruler who was Ali Abdullah Saleh at the time. They mediated with him in order to return him again to Yemen, and he accepted and returned after that, meaning Badr al-Din al-Houthi to Yemen. His son was the one who raised the issue after that, which is Hussein Badr al-Din al-Houthi, who is at the forefront of the picture. And his son took advantage of the major event that happened in the world in the September 2001 event in America. He began to activate the issue against America in order to gather supporters under this name. And in 2002 he acted, meaning that he would isolate himself from his party, the right party, and create his own group, and he called it Ansarullah and which is the Houthi group, but it uses the name Ansarullah so that it can go outside the family framework, so it can gather more supporters than the Houthi family and begin to raise slogans. Certainly, the slogan he launched was, God is great, death to America, death to Israel, curse the Jews, victory, Islam, 5 of these things. And he began to speak. And after every hall, they pray for a family. On Friday, they must stand up and say these chants. And he tries to incite all people on this topic. Take advantage of the events if they are against it. America is in moral charge among the public at this time because of the issue of these events, the war against terrorism, and all these stories. What is it? This took the slogan of his group or the slogan of his organization, Ansarullah, Allah is great, death to America, death to Israel, curse the Jews, victory to Islam, 2004. Armed demonstrations took place led by Hussein Badr al-Din al-Houthi in protest against America's occupation of Iraq in 2003. The debt demonstrations were armed suggestively to the government. The Yemeni is that he wants secession in the north, secession in the regions of the focus, the Zaydi and A. At that time, the government took the issue with some great seriousness. It was afraid of this event if it was actually separating, especially with the presence of Iranian support. So what did it do? What did you do? There was a war on the Saada region and on the entire Zaydin region, and a real war, meaning tanks, planes, and the stories and killing of Hussein. Badr al-Din al-Houthi in this war. And his father assumed leadership, the leadership of this armed organization, and then his father by nature was old, so he gave leadership after that to his son, who is the brother of Hussein of Al-Azhar, whose name is Abdul Malik, who is the leader of the Hushin now. At 25, Abdul Malik led the organization, which is predominantly family-based. They preferred the name Ansarullah from 2004 onwards. But in reality, they have already restricted them since the year 2004, when he is 25 years old, who is Abdul Malik Badr al-Din al-Houthi. He preferred the war to continue and entered Qatar. It mediated to stop the war and promised that it would rebuild this talk in 2008, but after a while, these negotiations collapsed and the second war returned, 2009 and 2010, and meanwhile in 2010, Badr al-Din al-Houthi died. Meaning the one for the year, meaning. It is apparent that Abdul Malik remained in the picture to a greater extent, and there is a clear rift, meaning a war between them. The Zaydi group present in this place and the Houthis between the state were able to be patient in this entire war from 2004 to 2010, and the war is continuing, and they are patient and have the strength to withstand, Resilience? What's the cause? Sabah. First, Iranian support for them continues. The second need is difficult marginalization. What existed before in history left the masses with some sympathy, even though the masses are not very disciplined with the thought they have. Their thought is closer to the 20 closest ethnic group. They say, no, we are like. This is to gain all the Zaydis who are present in Yemen who do not deny it, but they have many expressions, jurisprudential opinions, many positions, and support for Iran. All of this says that they mean that they are productive, the approach. And the two are dinner to a large extent. In popular support, with the jurisprudential difference in popular support as a result of the marginalization that exists in Saab areas, there is also support from some tribes for the opposition to the regime, Ali Abdullah Saleh, and this is what also left them, meaning that they have a presence because the regime in Yemen is tribes and clans. In some tribes that reject Ali Abdullah Saleh, even if the non-Zaydis support the Houthis in this regard. This war is also due to the mountainous nature of their regions. The northern regions of Yemen are all mountains. It is a difficult and rugged area, and there were also attempts to defect to the south at this time. And this is what scattered some of Ali Abdullah Saleh's forces. And the war was long, and some people say this is Ali Abdullah Saleh himself. He wanted the Houthis not to go, preferring to be present and causing problems for him. So that Saudi Arabia's support for me continues, and America's support for me because of resistance remains the reason that they supported to resist the Houthis. I mean, these are all reasons that the war ended in 2011. What happened in the Arab world and the successive revolutions here and there also happened in Yemen. The Yemeni revolution and the issues escalated after a while, and the government of Abdullah Saleh collapsed in 2012, and there remained a government. Abdul Rabbu Hadi Mansour, and after Ansar Ali Abdullah Saleh. When their government signed in 2012, they joined the Houthis. Some members of Ali Abdullah Saleh's army joined the Houthis. Benefit and what? Strength. They remained with a greater force and the issue escalated more and more. In 2004, they were able to occupy Sana'a and Wu. They took out the army that was affiliated with Abd Rabbu Hadi Mansour, who is after Ali Abdullah Saleh. After that, they besieged the Republican Palace, which contained Abd Rabbu Hadi. Has rose in 2015 and Abd Rabbu succeeded. He fled the siege to Aden and from Aden came to Saudi Arabia in 2015. The Houthis in 2015 allied with yesterday's enemy. Who is fighting them? Ali Abdullah Saleh has years left. They allied themselves with him to silence the government, a servant of Rabbu Hadi, and they remain silent about their support for whoever is coming from Saudi Arabia, so they allied with him. They formed an alliance, and this made Saudi Arabia work a storm, the firmness, which is 2015 attacks on the Houthi sites in northern Yemen. The Al-Al, which means the signing or the stormy war, continued for a period, and after that there was another campaign called Restoring Hope. There was a hitter between the two teams. The Southerners at this time became independent in the southern part in 2000, and 17 became independent in the southern part, and this also led to the fragmentation of the forces existing in Yemen, with Hadi remaining supported by Saudi Arabia in eastern Yemen, and the Houthis controlling northern and western Yemen without ties. Ties means it has a story alone. The last 2017 and the last 2017, the alliance between the Houthis and Ali Abdullah Saleh collapsed, and this is natural logic, and their longevity is enemies. This alliance collapsed and they killed Ali Abdullah Saleh in late 2017, and wars continued between the two groups. As a result of these wars, a very large number of Yemenis were displaced, especially from the Houthi areas, and the economic and social situation deteriorated significantly, the most deteriorated place, and the Sunnis were persecuted very significantly in the areas. Controlled by the Houthis 2023, the Houthis exploited the events of the Al-Aqsa flood, gaining greater sympathy from the Yemeni masses and the Arab and Islamic community in general by bombing Israel and hunting down American and British ships that are sailing in Bab al-Mandab, but they are all in the manner of Hezbollah, which are ineffective needs and are aimed at media consumption more than real war. And also America. Britain and Israel deal with the issue in the same way, not with the same seriousness with which they fight Gaza, such as in the same ways as the missiles that strike any place and do not bear the expected effects of a war between Yemen and Israel. Yemen is still divided between these different forces. We need a special episode in which we talk about the division of Yemen for this picture and where it is heading, but you remain like this, knowing that the Houthis are taking part of Yemen, not all of Yemen, and taking part in northern Yemen and western Yemen, and that the government of Abdrabbo, even if he is not present in Yemen, he controls eastern Yemen, approximates that he has a government in the south in the name of the Southern Transitional Council, and if Taiz alone is separate, it is also a national force, even if it means. Strong with the government of Abd Rabbu Hadi, do not head to Yemen. The days will rule us and we will know the changes and we need more details, but this is the situation on which the story has been based in Yemen until now. I ask God Almighty to unite the ranks of Muslims. May God reward you with goodness and may God's peace, mercy and blessings be upon you.